The night was quiet, the kind of quiet that follows a long rain. The streets slick with silver reflections and neon lights from the old diner flickering against puddles. Inside that diner, the smell of coffee and fried eggs hung thick in the air, wrapping around the hum of soft music and murmured conversations. It was close to midnight when a tall, broad man in a worn leather jacket pushed open the glass door, the little bell above it jingling weakly. His beard was rough, his hands tattooed, his boots heavy from the road. Everyone knew who he was, or thought they did. Razor, leader of the Iron Serpent's biker gang. To most he was trouble, a storm in human form. But that night, he wasn't looking for trouble. He was just hungry and tired, same as anyone else. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of a single good heart to change a life, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks. Your one click might just inspire someone else to do good today. Razor sat at the corner booth, the leather squeaking under his weight as he dropped into the seat. He nodded at the waitress, a thin woman in her early 30s with tired eyes and a cracked smile. Her name tag said Molly. She moved like someone who'd been on her feet since dawn, steady but weary. There was a faded bruise just below her right wrist, the kind that comes from bumping into things too often, or sometimes from something else entirely. She took his order quietly, burger, fries, and coffee, and left without looking up much. Razor didn't mind the silence. He was used to it. Through the large window beside him, the highway stretched into darkness, disappearing into mist. His reflection stared back, a man who'd lived rough, lost more than he cared to count. For years he'd been running, from the law, from the gang wars, from the faces of people who once believed he could be better. He didn't know what better even meant anymore. When the food came, it smelled like home. Hot, greasy, and familiar. He ate quietly until the door opened again and a couple of loud truckers came in, laughing and joking. One of them tossed a glance toward Molly and made a crude remark, earning a tired smile she didn't seem to mean. Razor noticed the way she flinched when the man brushed her arm, the way she stepped back like she'd done that dance too many times before. He said nothing, just kept eating, but his jaw tightened. An hour passed. The crowd thinned. Only Razor, Molly, and a couple sitting near the counter remained. Molly wiped tables, humming softly. A lullaby, maybe, something broken but beautiful. Razor caught the tune and wondered who she sang it for. He could tell from her eyes that she carried more weight than a night shift waitress should. Finally, the couple left. Molly cleared their plates and stopped for a moment, staring down at a half-eaten sandwich and a small pile of fries. Her hand hesitated over the plate, trembling slightly. Razor watched as she reached for a container under the counter and began packing the leftovers carefully, almost tenderly, like she was wrapping a gift. That's when she whispered, not to anyone in particular, just softly enough that the air itself seemed to listen. "Can I take the leftovers for my daughter?" She looked up, startled, realizing Razor had heard her. Color rose to her cheeks. She stammered an apology, saying it was against policy, that she just didn't want food to go to waste. Her voice broke halfway through. Razor didn't respond right away. He just stared, not at her, but through her, at something that stirred deep in his chest. He remembered a girl, 6 years old, blonde curls, missing front tooth, his own daughter, Lily. He hadn't seen her in years. The court took her after her mother's overdose, after Razor's arrest. He wasn't there to tuck her in. He wasn't there when she cried for him. He wasn't there when she needed dinner and there was none. That thought haunted him every single night since. Molly's words hit him like a freight train. "Can I take the leftovers for my daughter?" He saw the hunger in her eyes, not for herself, but for someone small and precious waiting at home. He could almost picture it. A dim apartment, a child wrapped in a blanket, waiting for her mom to come back with something warm to eat. Razor pushed his plate forward. "Pack this too," he said quietly. Molly blinked, confused. His burger was half-eaten, fries untouched. "Go on," he insisted, voice low but steady. "For your kid." She hesitated, her lips parting as if to protest, but his eyes stopped her. There was no pity there, only understanding, and something that looked almost like forgiveness. Slowly, she packed his plate too, murmuring a shaky thank you. Razor stood up, reached into his jacket, and pulled out a thick wad of bills. He tossed it on the counter. way more than the meal cost. For the trouble, he said, but the way his voice cracked gave him away. Molly looked at the money, speechless. When Razor turned to leave, the truckers at the back who'd been half drunk and laughing grew quiet. The entire diner seemed to freeze. The hum of the lights, the clatter of the kitchen, everything just stopped. They watched this tattooed, scarred man, the one everyone feared, walk toward the door with a slow, heavy gait. But before he stepped outside, he paused. He turned back, his hand on the doorframe, rain glistening on his jacket. His voice came low, almost a whisper. "Make sure she eats first." Then he was gone, swallowed by the darkness of the highway. Molly stood there, tears slipping down her cheeks, her hands trembling around the containers. For the first time in years, someone had seen her, really seen her, not as a waitress, not as a woman struggling to survive, but as a mother doing her best with what little she had. She went home that night to her tiny apartment, her daughter asleep on a couch covered in a faded blanket. She warmed the food, careful not to wake her, but the smell brought the little girl to her feet. "Mommy, did you eat?" the girl asked softly. Molly smiled through tears, brushing the hair from her daughter's face. "Yes, baby," she whispered. "Tonight we both will." The next morning when she came back to work, the manager told her a strange thing. The biker from last night, Razor, had paid off her rent for 6 months. He'd left a note too, for Lily. "Tell her someone out there believes her mom's doing great." Molly broke down right there behind the counter, and somewhere down the endless highway, Razor rode his Harley through the misty dawn, the wind hitting his face hard enough to make his eyes sting. He didn't care. For the first time in years, the road didn't feel like running. It felt like going home. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and comment on this video. And don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Speaks for more real stories that remind us no act of kindness is ever too small.